Welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Tasia Floissac. Coming up, Prime Minister Honorable Rossevelt Skerrit reveals plans for the 2014-2015 budget. Dominica's Nature Island Literary Festival and Book Fair set to promote Caribbean theatre, and government continues to improve the lives of the less fortunate in the Carib territory. Stay tuned for these and other stories after the break.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Thanks for staying with us. Prime Minister Honorable Rossevelt Skerrit says his administration has been prudent in maintaining several critical initiatives, including its social safety net programs. The Prime Minister made this remark while speaking with reporters earlier this week.
The budget has been prepared at a time when every country in the world is having its own challenges, in Dominica included. We have not escaped the fiscal and economic challenges confronting the entire world. Well, we have seen our revenue dropped. We've seen the increased demands on government for various interventions. And we have maintained our social safety nets. We have not interrupted any of our social safety nets. And we continue to implement a number of very important projects.
The Prime Minister noted that in the 2014-2015 budget, which he will present to Parliament next Wednesday, government will seek to minimize the impact of the economic crisis on the tax-paying public.
Always a case, a justification for either increasing taxation, existing taxation, or introducing new tax measures. But what we have done over the years is to try to minimize the impact on the tax-paying public in respect to a number of capital projects. And when you look at the West Coast Road and a number of projects that have been financed by way of grants, if you had to contract loans to implement this project, it would mean that your debt servicing would increase, and therefore you would need to find additional funds to service those debts. Where do you find additional funds? From taxpayers and so forth. And if the taxpayers are saying to you that they're not in a position to pay more, can you really tax them more? And this is the point I've also made in respect to salary increases. There's nothing wrong with unions making a request for salary increases, but the question is, are we the Dominican people prepared to pay more to underwrite the increase in salaries at this time?
The nation's leader revealed that the government will present new measures during the budget, which he is sure that the Dominican people will welcome.
In our consultation with the Dominican public and various stakeholders, there are some measures which we will present to the Parliament when we meet next week, which I'm sure the population will receive with a great welcome.
In response to questions regarding the reduction of VAT in the hotel sector, the Prime Minister had this to say.
One of the things I've always stated is that the VAT replaced a number of taxes in the country. And that while we want to be responsive to the requests of various stakeholders, the government must take every request and consider the whole before we take a decision. You cannot take a decision without looking at the whole impact on the entire country. There may be one or two of the requests the DHTA have asked for, which we can consider in the upcoming budget. Of course, we will continue to review the legislation. But I can say that I can say now that one or two of the requests the DHTA will be taken on board, and that will be made reference will be made to that in the budget address delivered by myself as Minister of Finance.
The Prime Minister stated that although measures that are expedient may seem like the best answer, significant consideration is needed in order to preserve the country's resources.
There are a lot of nuances and issues that one has to consider before a final determination is made by the Cabinet as to whether we take that measure or this measure, or we don't take any measure at all. Because you don't want to go and take a decision which might sound politically expedient, but which does not augur well for the health of the finances of the country. So people will come and say, well, we'll reduce VAT, or we will remove VAT completely, or we will abolish income tax. All of this may sound exciting and great, but the question is, what do you replace them with?
The head of government reiterated that the government of Dominica has always and will always maintain a prudent and responsible approach in managing the country's resources.
There are a number of implications if bad decisions are taken, or if decisions are taken for pure partisan political benefit of the party in office. And this has not been what we have done. We have always maintained a prudent and responsible approach to the management of the state finances. Notwithstanding the fact that it will be an election year, we will present a budget which the country can afford, not a budget to win any election, to win any votes.
In more news, community tourism service providers have benefited from a collaboration between various tourism-based organizations in Dominica. The closing ceremony of a 3.5-week community tourism training program organized by the Discover Dominica Authority, Dominica Community Tourism Association, Inc., and the Adult Education Division in order to revamp the community tourism sector was held on July 16th. Colin Piper, CEO and Director of Tourism at the DDA, noted that collaborations such as these are vital for Dominica's goal of 90,000 stayover visitors by 2015.
I also want to commend the partnership that took place between the Adult Education Agency, the Ministry of Tourism, the Dominica Community Tourism Association, Inc., and Discover Dominica Authority to put this training session together. And it is the type of collaboration and partnership that we are going to have to continue to do if we as a destination hope to achieve our target of 90,000 stayover visitor arrivals by the end of 2015.
Josephine Dublin Prince, president of the Dominica Community Tourism Association, Inc., said that the training is a prime example of what can be achieved when various institutions partner for a common goal.
This training activity is in fact a demonstration of what can be done when organizations with a focus on human resource development collaborate for a common good. This common good brought together over 44 community leaders, environmentalists, we should say, and those interested in developing not only themselves but also their community with a focus on community tourism.
She further noted that enhancement of their natural products play a key role in the development of a rural economy, and collaborations such as this should continue.
The development of a rural economy rests in part on the enhancement of our varying aspects of our natural products and heritage. Let us use this training as an incentive to continue to collaborate at all levels. Government has its role in creating the enabling environment, the legislative framework, and the provision of resources, financial and otherwise, while we need to continue to give quality product and experience. It is all about partnership and collaboration.
In her address, Kathleen Coffey, head of product development at the DDA, noted that tourism education is integral in the improvement of products and services.
Education is a key component on the tourism industry to develop and improve on product and services. This training is expected, the training that you did was expected to improve the community tourism experience in order to secure interest in visitors and to experience the local culture. More importantly, it was expected to increase your knowledge on how to deliver exceptional service deliver a basic business plan, and increase know-how on partnership opportunities to develop better products and services and to have a clear understanding of how the tourism industry actually operates. Further, it fostered the development of enhancing community tourism product that incorporates the application of good practices learned during that training.
Curio Paul represented Adult Education Officer Martha Andre. Paul stated that the AED recognized the need for the community tourism sector to be revamped so it can be used to its full capacity. Earlier this week, the National Cultural Council and Division of Culture held an opening ceremony to officially kick off Emancipation Day 2014 celebrations. A variety of education, cultural, community and outdoor events have been added to the calendar of activities that complement the observance of this historic achievement. One such activity is an Emancipation Hike on August 2nd along the segment 5 leg of the Waitukubuli National Trail. Representative of the Heart of Dominica Community Tourism Group, Maxine Allen Esprit, has assured patrons that they can anticipate an exciting hike activity.
We begin from Formel, which is between Emerald Pool and Cassie Bruce, and we walk from Formel to the Emerald Pool, and from the Emerald Pool to the Waitukubuli National Trail headquarters at Ponkasse. The walk will be between 3 to 4 hours, including the Emerald Pool stop, and it is an easy to moderate walk. It's something that is a family-friendly hike, so we invite people to come with their children. Children are on summer holidays. It's something that you can do with the kids, a healthy activity, a good way of socializing, and at the same time immersing yourself in nature and heritage.
Allen Esprit provided further detail on the weekend's activity.
Transportation will be provided as usual from the Roseau cruise ship terminal, which is right opposite the Royal Bank of Canada on the bayfront, leaving Roseau at 6 a.m. so that we can start the hike by about 7. And all those arrangements will be included in the price. So we have a registration fee of $20 for the hike, but we're offering a couple extra things this time because it is being organized by a community tourism group. We're trying to ensure that that we create a little bit of business in the community. And so when we end the hike at Ponkasse, you'll have the opportunity to purchase lunch at the food stall at Ponkasse, a very popular place to eat on a Saturday. That is Sukufi's place. She does local food. Or we can add on a river lime after the hike. So you could come down to Riverstone Bar and Grill, which is in Bells, and there would be an included price for lunch.
The annual Emancipation Hike is hosted as a collaborative effort between the Heart of Dominica Community Tourism Group, the Division of Culture, and other supporting partners such as the Waitukubuli National Trail and Waitukubuli Ecological Foundation. Registration forms are available at the Division of Culture, housed at the Old Mill Cultural Center in Canefield. For further information, feel free to contact the Cultural Division or simply call 449-1804. The day of observance will continue with a community event held in Grand Bay that very evening titled Honoring Our Heroes. The event is being organized by the Heritage Committee and will involve artistic performances in tribute to community and national heroic figures. Also this news time, the 7th edition of Dominica's Nature Island Literary Festival and Book Fair is hoping to be a delight for all drama literature enthusiasts. The festival was officially launched on Friday, 18th July under the theme, The Play's the Thing, celebrating Caribbean theater. Addressing the launch, chairman of the Literary Festival Committee, Dr. Alwyn Bully, revealed that this year's festival will honor revolutionary playwright William Shakespeare on this, his 450th anniversary year.
He basically was able to recognize what was happening with slavery and how people respond to slavery. Lots of his plays have to do with human rights and the condition of man, the whole question of justice and injustice, the whole question of social equity, equality among people and so forth, all very noble goals that at the time in the Elizabethan times they weren't thinking about, and he brought these things to the mind of all mankind. And not only to Elizabethan times, but today, to right now, to the in the very 21st century as we are, his plays remain relevant and new aspects of what he's saying become so apparent. In fact, a lot of things are very prophetic that he wrote about. And we see them coming to pass now in the wars that exist and how people respond to wars and captives, etc., etc.
Dr. Shaila Esprit gave a brief overview of the festival's calendar of events.
We have our official opening of the festival on Friday, August 8th with a play performance. We have our usual open campus site activities on Saturday, August 9th. All the daytime events will be held at the UA Open Campus site. These workshops include acting for stage and screen, directing for film and theater, reviewing the creative arts, and Juve theater, which is a really interesting, and I'm very excited about that particular genre, inspired by the carnival, the notion of carnival, and it will be facilitated by Tony Hall, one of our invited guests. And we have our usual I&I, we call it Issues and Ideas panel, which a workshop will be happening on the morning of Saturday, August 9th. In the afternoon, we have play performances by local theater groups. We will have another showing of the Romeo and Juliet Dominica style by the Old Mill Children's Theater Group. As Dr. Bully mentioned earlier, we will continue to have poetry events as part of our schedule, and that will include the open mic.
Other plays to be showcased during this year's festival include Suize Banzi is Dead, This World Spin One Way, and Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. There will also be a commemorative slave protest walk from Hillsborough Estate to the Rosa Old Market Square on Sunday, August 17th. Esprit also informed that entry into all events will remain free of charge as in past years, with the exception of the staged plays to be held at the Arawak House of Culture and the Alliance Française. The public is encouraged to visit the festival's website at www.dominicalitfest.com to register for workshops, gather more information, or view the full list of activities scheduled for this year's celebrations. And finally, this news time, the government of Dominica continues to improve the lives of the less fortunate of the Carib territory. GIS's Mervyn Matthew has more in this report.
It's mid-morning in Sinico. Marsley Frederick treads carefully to his home, staff in one hand, the keys for his home in the other. He takes no chances. He has to keep them safe, and one would understand why with a look at his former abode. People like Peter Sanford know well his conditions of this elderly man and volunteered his time and building skills to help him.
I know his situation. For a very long time he has been living in that condition. I volunteered myself to really help him, to see that we build this little house, this house for him, so that he would have a better place to really sleep.
For Cassius Daru, this is just one of several projects planned to improve living conditions of the less fortunate in that constituency.
I moved around and I realized the situations of certain elderly persons, and I think being a Christian person and having a strong Christian principle, I decided that it is time that I would take a stand and really seek assistance to help those elderly persons.
It is therefore no surprise that the new homeowner is grateful to the ruling DLP administration.
Quand le gouvernement fait bon moyen, mon cas oui merci gouvernement pour qu'il a fait bon moyen. Merci autant. Bon Dieu qui bénit.
Bien content de jouer aujourd'hui ici là. Avec moi, quand il fait ça, nous ça fait pour nous mettre quelque chose en place pour ça taper cabano. Toilet tout avec courant. Peut-être l'autre mois comme ça. OK.
In Sensi, 15 hands on deck, members of the Labour Youth Organization of the Salibia constituency are painting single occupancy houses built for less fortunate.
We are guided by the principles of the Dominica Labour Party, and that is our purpose for being here today. Our Honorable Prime Minister, he constantly reminds us of our moral and Christian responsibility to take care of the elderly and the less fortunate.
The humanitarian gestures by the LYO in that part of the island has generated interest among the youth of that constituency.
We keep on growing every day because everyone is, ecstatic, excited about what we have been doing with the young people and just giving our help in whatever way we can.
The youth interest in volunteering the skills to ensure the comfort of the disadvantaged is evident in that constituency. Patterson August has been involved in the construction of this dwelling home in Crayfish River for Monica Frederick.
It was my privilege to work together with them. I've been on other projects as well. So with my skill and knowledge about building, it's my privilege to put my assistance and help in this structure for the indigent persons.
While many take our living conditions for granted, for others like Seraphine Barry, it has been nothing short of deplorable, exposed to the elements. And it would take the compassion of the ruling Roosevelt Skerrit-led administration to take a condition to the next level.
It's a moral obligation we have to help persons who are indigent, persons with disabilities, and all persons who might be less fortunate in our society, to assist them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do for the Salibia constituency. I'm going to use all my energy with the youth that are standing behind me and the support of the constituents. I'm going to do my best and ensure that every person in the Kalinago territory, Atkinson and Chisel is satisfied with the level of work and representation that I will be giving to them in the near future.
For National Focus, I am Mervyn Murphy reporting.
And that's the news. Kerdisha St. Louis is up with a recap of this week's headline stories.
Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback. In the headlines this week, a National Youth Summer Tennis Academy was launched from July 7th by the National Employment Program to engage young people during the summer and provide employment opportunity for others. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, in his address at the Grotto Homes Annual General Meeting on Monday, spoke on giving to the less fortunate. Also on Monday, a summer camp for cultural and language exchange between the Dominica Cadet Corps and the U.S. Army Reserve Officer Training Corps was officially opened in Londonderry. PDV Carib commenced a 2-week workshop on Monday centered on risk assessment and evaluation control for operation personnel and management within the oil industry. 30 young men and women graduated from 3 programs offered by the Social Center on Monday, 17 from the Adolescent Skills Training Program, 8 from the From Offending to Achieving Program, and 5 sat CSEC exams. The Office of Disaster Management launched a 2-week Youth Disaster Managers Summer Day Camp on Monday, an opportunity to keep to the ODM's mandate for capacity building among young people and as a means of addressing safety issues prominent among the youth. On Wednesday, the National Cultural Council and Division of Culture joined forces with numerous stakeholders for the successful staging of this year's Emancipation Day celebrations. Again on Wednesday, the Discover Dominica Authority, in partnership with the Dominica Community Tourism Association and the Adult Education Division, held the closing ceremony of its 3-day-and-a-half-week community tourism training program. A 2-day workshop for planning and training in result-based management held by the Ministry of Agriculture ended on Wednesday with a closing ceremony at the Fort Young Hotel. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit revealed plans for the 2014-2015 budget, and there continues to be tangible evidence of government's efforts to improve the lives of the Kalinago people as GIS News visited ongoing housing projects in that constituency on Wednesday, July 16th. Those were the headline stories which made the news this week. Back to you, Tasia.
And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non moi c'est McPherson St. Louis. Premièrement, travail capogwe bien formidable à Sichime Lali en Guambé. Parole ça la sortie de parlement, Honorable Justina Charles.
Moun dip kon suppose ka mette dernier morceau couverture l'allée là même chimé yo préparé et c'est animé asphalte là jodi là so là yo travail jodi là ça c'est yo que fini l'allée chimé l'allée là c'est moun là qui teni content avec là pour faire drain là et sidewalk là actuellement yo ka fini et sidewalk là et mon ka dit between yon des jours yo que ça fini sidewalk là because nous ka battre pour nous make sure nous fini ça avant reunion là avec là yo fini ça nous ça tidy bo chimé là pour nous commencer faire l'allée ensemble in la vie avec mon ça dit ou Jean Gouambe bien plaisir avec travail chimé là mon de moun ou pas jamais comprendre qui te ka parler bon compte travail gouvernement cap dit valer yo manière yo apprécier travail là so son bon job moi même ka dit aspalrep ça fait mon senti plaisir monter ça fait on bitin en l'allée qui ça fait moun Gouambe content et ça pas premier bitin mon fin mais at least là ça c'est un grand projet qui fait Jean Gouambe bien plaisir.
En notre nouvelle, management solid waste Dominica continue et puis programme bagay recyclable, ça c'est produit qui ça servi encore. Parole celle-là sur du officier relations publiques, management solid waste Dominique, Jeno Jacob.
Tout ça pour nous-mêmes, c'est une ressource importante. Nous pas n'importe quoi qu'ils ont encore, parce que tout ça, mon gars jeté, nous savions servir pour faire un bit neuf. So, on peut recycle. Mais pour nous, moi, c'est reduce, reuse et puis recycle. Et puis ça, solid waste qu'a fait à présent pour nous-mêmes, ça c'est ça nous devons faire à Dominique pour faire certains qui Dominique côté ouest net et puis propre. Ça nous a fait à présent nous en nord-est pays aussi au sud pays, au nord-est pour sud, nord est pays et puis dans Penville descend pour Pointe-Milat. Nous avons un programme parce que quand on a cette nouvelle là, Japan, l'ambassade Japan à Trinidad et Tobago, ils ont un compact, ça c'est un truck, ça c'est neuf, et puis truck ça là même, c'est pour nous mass recyclables, pan, plastique, bouteille cacassée, bouteille plastique, comme ça. Nous avons un programme avec ces gens là, ces divers power là, et puis nous disons pour et puis aussi nous travaillons avec le Village Council et puis nous avons autant meeting à ces powers là. Nous disons pour mettre recyclables ces pannes là, ces plastiques, bouteilles plastiques là, ces bouteilles cacassées, un sac qui est clair. Ou ce sac qui est blanc, sac plastique qui est blanc, parce que là où on fait commission, on ce sac ça là aussi solide de ces sacs là available. Nous avons council là cavan et puis council là qui vend $1 pour certains qui c'est mon à payer et puis tu passes ces gros sacs on l'eau recyclables.
En notre nouvelle, un workshop de jours qui mettait attention à citoyennement et puis ça fait planning en agriculture, venir au bout mercredi et puis en cérémonie pour culminer, ça prend place en hôtel Fortune en Roseau. Canadian Hunger Fund collaboré et puis ministre agriculture, Chen Twenmala. Officier ministre agriculture recevait Twenman en management pour taper bon résultat en agriculture. Quand même si le directeur agriculture Ricky Bromant, objectif workshop là taper succès pour développement agriculture. Si l'on yon si facilitators là Julius Polios, programme là a une opportunité pour produire à ces entreprises, c'est pour avancement agriculture en région là. Polios aussi était bien plaisir et puis manière, c'est officiel à participer. Directeur agriculture Ricky Bromant fait parole qui bagaille à point qui est nécessaire pour bagaille management à cette occasion et d'autres bitins. Finalement, Discover Dominic Authority collaboré et puis Association Community Tourist et Division Éducation Guamoun, on a eu un workshop 20 moun en hospitalité affaires touristes. Trainement là couru le 24 juin pour le 15 juillet. Il y a une cérémonie pour place jeudi semaine là où les participants reçoivent un certificat pour participation à eux. Si l'on chef association Tourist Community Josephine Dublin Prince, participants qui expectent pour mettre ça à point en pratique, travail à eux.
Community tourism c'est business tout le monde. Et si vous tapez training pour when yo fait plus when yo ni plus meilleur customer relations ni plus meilleur skills. C'est mon avis yo ça fait plus meilleur. Nous tous qui bénéficier de training ça. So nous-mêmes, the Community Tourism Association, DDA, avec Adult Education, nous venons ensemble et nous identifier que training c'est moun sa la besoin avec nous plaisir c'est yo tout dit yo calé servi ça yo apprendre avec faire community tourism plus riche à Dominique.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson Luce. Ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next is your tip of the day.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions, an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
You asked for it. See more evidence of development right here on the Government Information Service.
The world was shaken last year when it lost one of its most inspirational leaders. But today, the unconquerable soul of Madiba Nelson Mandela still lives on in the hearts of many of whom he has touched. The United Nations has dubbed Mandela's birthday, July 18th, as International Nelson Mandela Day. The legacy of a man who, after 27 years in prison, rose to become the first black president of South Africa exists as a testimony to his belief that human rights and equality cannot be defeated by hatred and discrimination. On this note, let us all, as a Caribbean people, descendants of not only our African forefathers, but a multicolored race, embrace Mandela's looming spirit, take action, take charge of our fate, preach unity, raise our heads in the fell clutch of circumstance, and inspire others to do the same. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the GIS News production team, I'm Tasia Floissac. Have a wonderful weekend.